And we're live. Welcome to our live viewers. Everybody watching on YouTube on politicsandguns.com/live and on Google+. This is our regular weekend recording of the Polite Society podcast. I want to thank our advertisers for providing the bandwidth and making sure the show keeps coming out. Of course, those advertisers: ABN Army Surplus, Concealment Solutions, Crusader Weaponry, and NJ2AS, as well as the Firearms Safety Institute. And knew this well. She's heard the ads are going to start running next week. It will be the Cornered Cat Company, Kathy Jackson. So we are almost ready to kick things off. Gary's still in this concealed carry class that's going on here, and so he's not going to be in. Don't write him in anywhere. He'll pop in and out if he can. All right. And
I'm looking at Wegner's DGUs. If we want more, they're here.
Okay. I'll leave it up to you, man.
But we do have a lot of news, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we could do, honestly, I think just in our, with the four of us commenting on the Palmer case, I think we could darn near cover a segment just right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said there.
So.
We've got a cool listener email, too.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. That was cool. No, y'all, it's already posted on here.
Oh,
I
was saying, somebody finally gave Rachel some mail.
Yeah, I just checked mine a few moments ago. No. Haven't had anything since May.
Since May? Oh, my God.
That's all right.
I get a few, mostly from the same person.
I get 8, 9, 10 a day.
Cool.
Along with the...
Just famous.
Along with the silencer codes and the... the Stephen Wegner emails and all the stuff I get because of SHOT Show. Oh, by the way, coming up here next month, probably in a couple of weeks, we need to get SHOT Show lined up. I need to know who's going. No kidding, yes or no. So
I'm going to do my best to go to SHOT Show this year.
Okay.
Because it comes at a time when I wouldn't miss teaching a class.
Okay.
And I'm sure my brother-in-law and nephew will be going.
Well, I need to know in a couple weeks.
Okay.
I may not be going this year. I'm going to be... Jeez, why does everything here? I'm going to be probably going to the, what do you call that? It's the Polite Society Tactical something or another.
Yes.
I think I'm going to that this year, and I cannot do both.
Is that
And
the one
honestly,
in Memphis?
Yeah.
With
honestly,
Tom Givens, he's good.
Yeah. I just, I've been to SHOT Show, been there, done that. I'm not the gear geek, and it does very damn little for me. So.
Well, it's been about 19 years since I've been to a SHOT Show. It was much smaller.
Yes, I imagine. It's good God, I've never been to anything this big. I was to CES and it wasn't this big. So.
Well.
Of course, I was to CES about 15 years ago. So. All right, should we? I don't see Bob on here. God, I hope he doesn't no-show us. But if he does, he does. All right, should we? Let me adjust this microphone a bit here. should we try knocking out this intro?
Sure, go ahead.
Sure, let's do it.
Wait a minute. Let me.
Hmm?
Let me. No, I'm not there. Paste. There we go. Sure.
Damn it. White Sox beat my Twins.
Oh.
All right. Can I get you guys to give me a little bit of count off? Rob, starting with you.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay. Rachel
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
and John.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh my God, we're all balanced. How about that?
Awesome.
Ooh, I felt so good.
I'm in harmony.
There you go.
All right. Here we go. We're kicking off in 5. Hi, and welcome to the Polite Society podcast, recorded live from ABN Army Surplus on Saturday, July 26, 2014. I'm Paul Lathrop.
I'm Rachel Malone, and on tonight's show, we'll talk with Bob Maynr of the Handgun World Show about some training coming to Sioux Falls next spring.
I'm John Richardson, and we'll talk about self-defense news.
I'm Rob Morrison. We have our weekly stories of defensive gun use.
So climb aboard.
Strap in.
And hang on.
Episode 255 of the Polite Society podcast starts right now. Well, hey, again, welcome to episode 255 of the Polite Society podcast. Let's go ahead and get started right away. I'm going to, as I usually do, this is our personal news segment. We're going to kick off by reading off the numbers and the names on the bottom of my screen, the faces that I see. First one up is John. What have you been up to? You were on the midweek show.
I
wasn't. Well, yeah, I heard you. I haven't released it yet, but I started editing it.
Okay.
So, what's up in your? You're a newlywed, I hear.
I am going on almost 2 weeks. So
Congratulations.
And in the Wednesday show, I also reported on my visit to PTR Industries, who makes the PTR 91. And I will have an interview with them coming up in a later episode. Had no range time since Wednesday, but I did read an excellent article that would go along well with any of our DGUs. And I've included a link, and it was about what was called spot shooting and how it could improve your shooting. Or as the author's 83-year-old father told a would-be robber, do you want it in the teeth or the belly?
Wow.
In other words, he was saying, instead of just concentrating on center of mass, go for the third button down or something like that. Concentrate on the button, and your shooting will improve, and you will hit what you're after.
Oh yeah. Well, you go back to the old rifleman's adage: aim small, miss small.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, looks like Rachel, you're next up on my list of faces on the bottom of my screen. What have you been up to?
Well, I've been sitting here all week fondling these gun parts that are sitting on my desk, and I was super excited about being able to share with everybody tonight about my new AR upgrade that was supposed to happen today. I had that all scheduled to do some gunsmithing with a friend. Unfortunately, last night I had another friend who had a medical emergency, so I spent last night in the ER, and then today taking care of kids. So, it's disappointing not to get your AR upgraded, but hey, some things just always take priority, so I was glad I could be there for that. And the gun parts will just have to wait. They'll still be here, and we'll get that upgrade done sometime soon.
Sure. Yeah, life has priorities, and
Yep. Yep.
First things first.
Mm-hmm.
Well, looks like Rob, you're next on my list of faces, man. What have you been up to?
I've been a busy boy. I had Friday off, so I went to a buddy's house and used his props and house his laptop, and my laser cert training pistol. That's it's a laser pointer that looks like a Glock, and it's got a resetting trigger so you can shoot shot after shot. And we got to do some interesting stuff. Things you really can't do at the range: point shooting, shooting outside of 180 degrees, like almost 360. What else? Oh, we used a chair and put a jacket on it, and you'd push it over and then have to back away. That's somebody gets in your face and you have to present and hope he doesn't come back up at you. I don't even know that I want to try those, even if I could find a range that would let me try those with a live firearm. And then I had a 5-hour IDPA competition out in the desert this morning.
Oh wow, 5 hours.
It ran. The great part, we had a large crew, larger than usual. In my stage, we picked up a bunch of newbies, probably 7 or 8 out of the 16 that we ran, which was great. But you got to help them through their first meet. And if you have to end on a weak finish or a strong finish, you want to end strong. Nah, I was doing well, and then wind came up and blew over some of the target stands. So I had to restart, and my restart time wasn't as good as my first time through. Darn it!
Oh man, that stinks.
So suck it up and practice more.
Yeah. Well, on my end, I want to give a shout out. I wanted to do this a little while back. Concealment Solutions, sponsor of the show, Jason Christensen. I've been wearing a Black Mamba for well over a year. I wear the Black Mamba CE and wear it daily. I mean, every day, all day long. And now that means it gets put on at least once a day, sometimes a couple, 3 times a day. And through daily use and one of the screws it's got 2 clips, and one of the screws that holds the clip to the leather on the holster kind of worked its way loose enough before I caught it that it totally went away. Didn't notice it until the holster is stable enough. I didn't notice it until after the end of the day when I took the holster off and the clip didn't come with the holster. So I mean, the only other holster I've got is a Fox Tactical nylon kind of outside the waistband thing that really works well for keeping the gun in the glove compartment of the truck, but not so much for wearing. Anyway, so I sent Jason a text, and he said, I got you covered. 2 days later, in the mail, I got 2 replacement clips and the stuff to secure them with. Even though I didn't need the clips, I still had it. But just right now, he was right on it. Got me what I needed to get the holster back in working order, and just really, really fast. So, hi everybody.
Yeah, Paul. Reliable equipment is important to all of us, but your holster drawer is on average 500 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, really got to work for you. I appreciate the endurance test and reliability test you end up putting things through.
Yeah. And so again, shout out to Jason. I mean, it was I sent him a text, and it was, I got you covered, and it was in the mail before I got home. So also, this was kind of, I posted this one up on Facebook as my personal status message. This past Friday, so it would have been yesterday, I was up in Minneapolis, and I was getting loaded on my final trip to come home. And I'm sitting in the dock, and it's about 10 o'clock in the morning. It's me and one of the drivers sitting there getting loaded. And the other driver gets out of his truck and looks like he's going to be walking laps. around the facility, which is not really all that uncommon. A lot of drivers are really paying attention to health and trying to do exercise. I should do more of that than I do. But I didn't think much of it until he comes walking by my truck. And let me describe what he's wearing. Obviously, 5'11" tactical pants, a Magpul t-shirt, both of them about a size and a half, 2 sizes too small. The guy is built like a bodybuilder and has an obvious, very large bulge on his right side. If he were looking to conceal carry, that's a little bit of a fail. If I guess my point, and I honestly don't know Minnesota's law. I don't know if you can open carry in Minnesota or not. It was legally concealed, but very obvious. If that's what he was going for, I guess he succeeded. But I mean, come on, a Magpul t-shirt and 2 small pants. That, yeah, everybody in the world knew that guy was carrying. So, now personally, if he was going for, I'm an open carry advocate. I'm open carrying right now as I sit here recording at ABN. I like open carry, but if you're gonna conceal, I think maybe you should conceal. That's just kind of me. And then I've had several people emailing me wanting to keep up to date on how we're doing on adding family members. A lot of
Your
people.
dog adoption.
Yes. We have our hearts set on a pair of dogs that have been in the at the Humane Society for a very long time, over 6 months. They want to adopt them out as a pair. They're 4 and 6 years old, and they're all each other has. They came as a pair to the Humane Society about 6 months ago when their owner died, and the family couldn't handle them. So the issue is Little Dude, the 4-year-old, is a very active dog and needs some room to run. And we have a big open yard, but it's an open yard. And so this morning, starting about 7 o'clock in the morning, I was out building a dog run, fencing in a dog run, and building gates and all that good stuff. So we go tomorrow. The Humane Society opens up at 11 o'clock. We're all set up, and we go pick them up tomorrow morning. So
very good.
So that's what's going on with me. Nothing else super exciting. Did some dry fire practice. I got to get out to a range here soon. It's not going to happen tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be all about, getting our new dogs. So tomorrow range time isn't going to happen. Monday I'm going to be off and driving again. So probably next weekend. I'm really hoping. But
so that means Susan has to break in, has to do some what do they call it? Dog, come on, bronco busting, dog. Not, you wouldn't say dog busting, would you?
Training, yeah.
Dog training.
Yeah, I guess.
Break in the new herd.
Exactly. All right, well, we got some really, really big news that we want to get to. So let's just go ahead and step off to break here. And when we come back, we've had a Palmer decision. So hang on, everybody. We'll be right back right after this.
Well, it's not as good as John's new marriage, but 2 new dogs is pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And it hasn't been like Barb and I haven't been together for 14 years either. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who wants to do the Palmer case? Because I have a comment on it.
I'll read it.
Okay.
And then we'll let you comment, but I want to jump in with comments too. Oh, Rachel dropped. I just got text. Oops, my computer
Yep.
screen just randomly quit working. Hang on, I'll see if we can get back on. Okay. We'll wait. I think Bob Main's gonna. I don't think he's gonna show. So I've sent him a Facebook link. I've sent him email. I don't think he's gonna be here. So I'll have to do some creative editing to the open. We might, and at the end of the night, we just might re-record the open without that in there. So. I'll just go ahead and we'll talk about it towards the end. We'll talk about it. I am really pumped that they're coming up here next spring, though. That is going to be so much fun.
That will be good.
Got open class seats, guys. Well, should we jump into news or should we wait a little bit for her?
Yeah, even if all she did is restart her PC, she's still...
Yeah, restarting the PC can take a little bit. Let's wait another minute or two. I want to remind our live viewers you can hit the Q&A app and send us a question, and we will answer on the air. Also, if you're watching on Google Plus or on YouTube, you can comment, and we will answer your comments on the air.
I'm going to YouTube to look for commenters.
I get that on my phone right here.
Oh, in that case, tech with it. Ding.
Somebody watching the live page would be cool, but I think Susan, I know Susan's listening because she sent me a text as you guys are giving a read off. She sent me a text that said 5, 4, 3. I don't know, guys. What do you think? Should we take off with it?
Well, we'll be spending a good period of time on the Palmer case, so I guess so.
Yeah, and I think she knows if she comes in the middle, just to wait for a break before making noise. So, all right, I'll bring us back. Coming back in 5. Hey, and welcome back. Our news segment, and we've got a bit of breaking news just before we started to get ready to go live. I quite literally just barely had time to get this into the show notes. We had a decision come through on the Palmer versus DC case. And the news basically is this. The U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia, now this is not the Supreme Court. It never got there. The U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia struck down the complete ban of carry in Washington, D.C. Now, I'm going to read right from Alan Gura's blog. The court stated that in the light of Heller, McDonald, and their progeny, there is no longer any basis on which this court can conclude that the District of Columbia's total ban on the public carrying of ready-to-use handguns outside the home is constitutional under any level of scrutiny. Therefore, the court finds that the District of Columbia's complete ban on the carrying of handguns in public is unconstitutional. Guys, folks, this is a monster win. I do not expect things to change overnight, but this is definitely a step in the right direction. I expect what's going to happen in D.C. myself, Paul Lathrop, what I think is going to happen is they're going to try to implement something like New Jersey or California's May issue standards. I I could be wrong, but I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, you guys have both read what I've read.
I would say that before they would even begin to try to implement a concealed carry system, they're going to appeal the case and ask for a stay of the decision pending the appeal, which they would probably get. Um, this case has gone on for over 5 years. Alan Gurr even went to the U.S. Court of Appeals at least twice, seeking what was called a writ of mandamus to force Judge Frederick Scullin to give it a decision one way or another. And this time, I'm a little surprised he came out with this decision. It's fantastic. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's a good win for gun rights and the right to carry in the nation's capital. One of the plaintiffs, George Lyon, not the lead plaintiff, said he urged Mayor Vincent Gray and the City Council to, quote unquote, swiftly enact a concealed carry law. I don't think it'll happen because I'm sure they're going to appeal it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Well, they of course have the right to appeal it, but I don't know that it's that wise, other than delaying the inevitable because of the 5-4 majority we have right now in the Supreme Court.
Well, the Supreme Court only looks at 1% of the cases submitted to it. In an odd way, there's nothing here for the court to review unless DC would then claim, oh, there's a split in the court, meaning the different districts, therefore you have to look at this. The court's already walked away from looking at concealed carry cases in New Jersey. The next one, logically, that comes up might be the one, what is it, Peruta v. Gore out of California. Mm-hmm. So it's the Supreme Court could easily refuse to review it. There's lots of precedents for that.
Look at, because it was Peruta v. Gore was quoted in this ruling.
Now, the one reason I think the Supreme Court could say we're not going to deal with it is because D.C. is a federal enclave, and the other cases involving carry were in the states. And it's not much of a difference, but there's some difference.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Well, is it really, John, in the sense that the court has repeatedly said there's a legislative remedy for these rights being violated? If the residents of the district don't like it, they can vote in a new city council. The analogy would be vote in new state legislators. They've repeatedly avoided looking at the right of self-defense the same way they look at the right of free speech.
Correct. I mean, they really have. I fully expect this case to go to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia, but I can't say that I expect it to go to the Supreme Court.
Right, right.
Rachel, you've been kind of quiet in this one. Have you been able to read up on this? It happened just like just hours before we went to air, if not even an hour before we went to air. Have you had a chance to read up on this? You have any thoughts?
Right. No, I haven't had a chance to research it, but this is huge. I mean, it's monumental. I'm excited about it. I think it's great. But like y'all are saying, I'm interested to see where this goes. It's not the end of everything, but it's cool.
And to me, it's personal. Both the fact that I've got Peruta v. Gore in my backyard, and that decision is the reason I still can't carry, but might be able to someday defend myself in public. And I used to live right in Alexandria, Virginia. I've got a score of friends in D.C. How about all of our friends now who live in Virginia could then carry in the district when they go to work? Holy cow.
Speaking of that, let me read a little more from this is from Alan Gura's blog, and this is directly quoting the ruling. Furthermore, this injunction prohibits the district from completely banning the carrying of handguns in public for self-defense by otherwise qualified non-residents based solely on the fact that they are not residents of the district.
So he went further than just ruling on district residents.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You're right.
Something else I like about this is I noticed a lot of times with our wins that we get excited about or with our defeats, they're based on technicalities. And this one, obviously, this hits directly on the constitutionality and upholds the constitutionality of carrying.
Yeah, technically
so that's
it's
important.
unconstitutional. That's the technicality is technically it's unconstitutional.
Right, but a lot of times they'll hinge on various other little things that aren't related to the constitutionality of self-defense or of the Second Amendment. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Let's see here. Well, I think we've kind of covered this one. Who's got the next one?
I do. Rob mentioned legislatures. Well, the election season is starting to heat up. We've had primaries in most states. Well, the NRA Freedom Action Foundation has announced that Chuck Norris will be the honorary chairman of the Trigger the Vote campaign. Now, Chuck Norris being the chairman of it really isn't the news. The news is that this campaign seeks to make sure that gun owners and gun rights supporters are registered to vote. And even though voter registration has become what I would consider ridiculously easy over the years, you still can't vote unless you're registered. And we need every person on our side out there voting. There's just no excuse not to.
Do you guys remember the series that was put out with Arlie Ermy?
Yes.
Yeah, I enjoyed those. I don't know how effective they were. Then again, I'm over here on the left coast wondering where all the gun owners go on Election Day.
Yeah. And there's a back 2 years ago when I started the show, leading up to Election Day, there is a website, and I will look it up, and I will have it by next weekend's show, and we'll mention it. There's a website you can go to see if your neighbor, if your buddy at the range, if you're, you can see if they're registered to vote. And if they're not, because, voter rolls are public information. If they're not registered to vote, that gives you a little bit of ammunition, so to speak, to go to them and say, hey, man, you're hurting us.
Yeah.
So I'll make sure that I get that link, and I'll put it up back on Polite Society Podcast's Facebook page, and I'll make sure that I have it, and we'll get it in next week's show notes. I just guarantee you, it's not going to happen tonight. So, but I'll make sure that I have it before next week. So,
Paul, I've thought for the longest time I should just grab voter registrations and take them with me to my shooting events.
In California, when I lived down there, I used to, when I lived in California, I was a much younger young man. And I lived maybe 5 blocks from the grocery store, and I was about 2.5 miles from where I worked, and so I walked to the grocery store and I rode bike to work. Very, very, very rarely drove when I lived down there. But in going to the grocery store, one of the more common things was there'd be people hanging out wanting you to sign a petition.
Right.
And it got to the point where I tried to avoid them as much as I could because most of the stuff was really just out there.
Crazy California.
Yeah, and I eventually started saying, man, I'm not registered to vote. I'm lying to them because, of course, I was. Oh, I can take care of that right here, right now. I can register you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm with you, man. Take some registrations, run them down. I wonder if I can do that here in South Dakota.
Well, we do it every time we have a gun show at the local county fairground. We're there with all kinds of NRA applications and voter registration. Yep.
I think it's a great idea. And hey, I want to throw out a challenge to the podcast listeners. Y'all get some voter registration cards, however it works in your state. Figure out what you can do, and get out there to the gun range or your next shooting event and register some people and report back to us. So send us an email about that, letting us know what you did, or post on our Facebook page.
You know
That'd be
what?
great.
You know
I
what?
like that,
you know
Rachel.
what? You know what? I have got some patches. I got some Open Carry South Dakota patches. I've got some Geo Gun Owner patches. I've got various other patches hanging around the house. I'm thinking if you will, anybody that does that, I don't know how they would provide proof. Maybe we should talk about this off air, but I don't know. I'm just thinking that would be a good thing. I'd be willing to give up some swag if people would be willing to do that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Cool.
So,
I
Well-
at least think it's worth a shout out.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
It's definitely worth a shout out. And let me stew on that. And I think we're gonna next week when I'm on the show next weekend. If I can figure out a way to get that done, and I might just even go on somebody's word that they did it, because I mean, this is important, you know. So,
Yeah.
well, looking over here, I think we got time for one more story. Who's got the next one?
I'm up. The city of Kansas City, Missouri wants to ban open carry within its city limits. Mayor James Sly, and no, I didn't make that up. Sly is such a great name for a gun-grabbing politician, by the way. Anyway, he says, the sight of open carry is something that people could find too intimidating. Well, the Missouri legislature had passed a bill that would have prevented cities from prohibiting open carry by those with CCW licenses. As we recently reported, though, Governor Jay Nixon, Democrat of Missouri, vetoed that gun rights bill. The legislature has a chance to override the veto in September.
No, it's up to Missouri gun owners to make open carry non-intimidating if that's the concern that's going on here.
Yeah, I agree. And I would say if you live in Missouri, and we've got a good number of listeners in Missouri, your legislators are home now. They're in they're not they're not in Springfield right now. They're home. If you're going to get in touch with them, now's the time, and they need to be hearing from you on a very, very, very regular basis. They say all politics is local. Well, the most local is your city council, but your state legislator, that's just a very small step up. These people aren't that hard to get a hold of. Do it, and it's time to get in touch and say, hey, this needs to be overridden.
Absolutely. I know Missouri fairly well, and the only places that you're going to find gun control politicians are either St. Louis or Kansas City. The rest of the state is just like Illinois outside of Chicago.
Downstate Illinois.
Yeah, outside of those two city centers, and not even St. Louis that much. Once you get South County and West County, they're not as much on gun control. Like I said, it's a lot like Illinois. You know, Springfield, Jefferson City. Your legislators are at home. Time to talk to them.
Yep. Well, let's do this. We're running just a little bit long on this segment. Let's go ahead and step aside. And we've got more news when we come back, and we will be back right after this.
We need to assign the second Colorado comment. Paul?
Yes?
I gave it to you.
Okay. I'm working with Audacity. You have to be patient with me.
Talk slowly. Yeah, I was working with it this morning. I owe you those 3 interviews. Help.
Yeah. And I got to get that show out tomorrow morning. I'm going to be
No.
I'll be working Well, if I don't get them by the time the dogs come to the house,
Yeah, I
they'll
know.
get
It's
that
not.
show out.
Yeah. Okay, who gets the gun quote? It's Frederick Douglass about the three or the three, our rights rest in three boxes. Rachel, I think I've heard you say that.
Yeah, we have a similar quote we use with Appleseed. That
Paul,
comes from this.
you want it, or you want to give it to Rachel?
Take it
Whoever,
if you like it.
well, whoever. I'm good with.
Matter to me.
I'm just rolling with the flow right now, making sure that everything's.
Yeah, we have two that are not assigned about elections in Cook County and Ray Rice.
Who wants to make? Yeah, the last one you get to call New Jersey out for being corrupt. We could arm wrestle for that
New
one.
Jersey corrupt? You must just.
No way. Couldn't be.
Give that one to Paul. I'll
Yeah.
take the one in front of it.
Okay.
Yep. Wrong one.
Remind to our live viewers, you can comment on YouTube or on the Q&A questionnaire, the Q&A app on Google Plus and YouTube. We will respond to you on the air. Okay, and Audacity is finally ready to go. I got to get a new secondary laptop. Okay, are we ready?
I think so. Do you want me to bring us in, or did you want to?
No, go right ahead. You're the.
All right. I got the first one. So, okie doke. Coming back in 5. Welcome back to the Polite Society podcast. We have a whole nother lineup of news items for you, so I'm going to jump right in. First Lady Michelle Obama was in Chicago on Thursday, where, as listeners of the podcast know, we often speak about shootings and murders that happen despite their gun control laws. After decrying the role of money and special interest in politics, Mrs. Obama told attendees at a Democratic fundraiser who paid up to $20,000 a couple to attend to dig deep in their pockets, as if they hadn't already. She said electing Democrats would put kids first and help eliminate gun violence in her hometown. She didn't have anything to say about cracking down on the gangs who were behind most of the shootings in Chicago. Go figure.
It's amazing to me. There are fantastic maps online that show the changing demographic background in Chicago. The politics literally have driven the middle class and the jobs that go with them out of the city. And then they're blaming firearms. There was another thing I saw that reported Chicago has one of the lowest prosecution rates for federal firearms violations. Now, every one of these gangbangers that's caught with a gun has also violated federal law. You'd think that all that federal juice of having a president and in the White House would get you some prosecutions. Is this gun violence, is this an artifact, or is this a plan?
Well, the other thing is they depend upon the Chicago machine, what I used to call the daily machine, the Democratic machine, actually depends upon the gangs to deliver votes for them. They have agreements with certain gang leaders to drag people to the polls. And that may say something about in terms of why stuff doesn't get enforced.
Wow. That is stunning. You know,
there have been a number of stories in like the Chicago Tribune, the Chicago Sun-Times, others in the Chicago area about it, and it's horrifying.
You know, and I don't want to be black helicopter here because I am not a black helicopter kind of guy, but I do remember quite often hearing stories just after the last election where a lot of precincts in and around Cook County had 102, 103% voter turnout.
Holy cow!
Yeah. And were big shock voting, more than 90 to 95% Obama. Now, Cook County, you're going to expect heavy Obama, but more than 90?
Well, they were just doing they were really civic-minded and doing their civic duty.
Yeah. Yeah.
102% of it.
Yes. All right. Yeah, when the show first started, it was politics and guns, and politics has always been a passion of mine. But there's a dirty side of politics too, and that just, when I touch that part, I just, I need to go take a shower again, and I feel like I took a shower maybe an hour and a half before I got here, and I feel like I got to go take a shower now.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I feel like it's those who hate politics who really need to be involved in it, because they're the ones with integrity, and those who love the game of politics who really shouldn't be there. Just kind of the way the game works.
And I'm kind of in the middle. I do like politics.
Mm.
I like the discussion. I like the
yes, but not the dirtiness of it, which is what I was kind of referring to.
Yeah, the one-upsmanship, the gamesmanship, and and honestly, getting half your voter rolls out of the graveyard, that just that whole thing just stinks.
I would peg you as more of a statesman. You like the statesmanship and the good citizenship part of it, not the dirty stuff.
Well, John, I think you got the next story, right?
I don't know. I wonder if I could buy Paul's vote for a new holster.
You could try it.
Talk to me after the show. We'll get a deal struck.
And if it works for you, let me know.
We have plenty of spare ones. Well,
don't we all?
Yeah. Well, Boston Police Commissioner William Evans evidently didn't get the message from Vice President Joe Biden. That's because he said in an interview with public radio WGBH Boston that, quote, for the most part, nobody in the city needs a shotgun. Nobody needs a rifle. He was responding to a question about gun permits in Massachusetts. He, like too many police chiefs in the Bay State, want the ultimate authority to say who can or can't exercise their Second Amendment rights. I seem to remember that it was moved by another person in authority in Boston that triggered a war, and that person was General Gage in April 1775, and the war was the American Revolution.
I would say that's a very, very good analogy.
Mm-hmm.
I have two comments to mind. One is it sounds too much like my sheriff, who says, "Don't worry, little people, I'll protect you." Yeah, except he forgot the 2,000 or so victims we have each month. And the guy just sounds so arrogant. He's an only one with divine powers of insight to know who is and isn't safe.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and this is somebody who's talking with a gun on his hip.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually think I agree with the police commissioner in a way. For the most part, on most days, yeah, I'm not pulling out my shotgun and rifle and squeezing the trigger to defend myself on most days. But I never know when I will need to. And so, yeah, I have to agree with you, John, on your analysis. If he wants the ultimate authority to say who can and can't exercise their Second Amendment rights, that's the issue here. That's not his authority.
I agree, but he wants it to be his authority.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's the rub. That's where he's going.
It's an election year, and some Colorado representatives are now reading the poll numbers, and they don't like what they see. Colorado legislators felt that they could pretty much do anything they wanted once they were elected. Well, that was when they ran through new gun control laws last year, and before 3 Colorado senators were recalled and removed from office. Those same gun control bills were actually pushed through by Democrats to keep guns away from those with criminal backgrounds. That was the rationale. Well, the Legislative Research Committee said that about almost 500,000, 400,000 or 420,000 background checks each year would be run to help stop criminals from getting guns. And to their credit, they allocated $3 million to the state agency in charge of handling all those extra reviews and checks, the Colorado Bureau of Investigations. Didn't turn out as planned. A year later, and the agency coughed up these statistics when asked, they performed 13,600 reviews, or roughly 7% of what was predicted. To
Ouch.
quote one of the legislators, "I'm going to be asking some questions because I want to be a good steward of our tax dollars," said Democratic Representative Rhonda Fields. Fields nevertheless stood by the law and expressed optimism about its future.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
Well,
I'm not sure where you're getting that optimism.
Well,
Doubling
Fields was
down on dumb?
Well, Fields was actually the one who wrote the magazine ban law.
Oh, it was hers.
It was hers.
Now, she's
That makes perfect sense.
yeah, it's so, I can honestly, I think I know what's going on, and I don't mean to sound hypocritical, but I think what's going on is that the private sale of firearms is still going on in Colorado. It's still going on just the same way as it was before the law went through. The citizens are just sick and tired of the government butting in where they don't belong. Colorado has not been a democratic state very long at all. And there's enough good people there that have just said, I've had enough.
I think you're right. Absolutely. I think either people are buying new or buying through a gun store. Possible. Or they're just saying, you can take your law and stick it, because I'm not doing it. And crooks aren't going to do it.
Oh, no. No, absolutely. Well, let's where am I at here? I lost my place in show notes. I'm sorry. The first recall in Colorado was the Senate leader John Morse. Morse also ran a ballot initiative to make it harder to recall legislators. That effort couldn't gather the signatures to make the ballot. There was a separate ballot initiative that did gather enough signatures. That measure was to ban concealed carry on campus. After looking at more poll numbers, the backers decided not to put the campus carry ban bill on the ballot.
I think that underlines your comment about Colorado being a purple state, Paul.
Yeah.
Neither red nor blue.
Last episode, we interviewed Luke Wagner of the Colorado Second Amendment, and I think they're a great example of regular citizens doing extraordinary work, and they're significantly changing their state and pushing it towards gun rights, and they had a lot to do with the recalls, and they're continuing on. So that's, everybody in Colorado keep working.
Absolutely.
And you notice there hasn't been, there hasn't been exactly a charge to repeal the gun laws that caused this whole mess, but all of a sudden any further ones died a very fast death.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, they still have elections, even in Cook County, Illinois. Chicago area residents will vote if Illinois should impose an assault weapons ban and universal background checks required to sell anything firearm related. Both are non-binding referendums designed to provide political cover for Democratic legislators. It reminds me of that quote from the movie Chinatown. Forget it, Jake. It's Chi-Town. It's Chinatown. Here we could just say it's Chi-Town.
Now, is that just Cook County, Illinois, that's having that election, or is that statewide?
It's a non-binding referendum. Cook County.
Oh, Good Lord.
Well, it's designed to, if they really stand up and say, "Hi, we think you guys should be defenseless so the gangs can, keep right on shooting innocent people," they want something to hide both from the to move the downstate Democrats here, be more like us, and also to give them an excuse when they come home to their constituents in Cook County.
Well, I read something today that Rahm Emanuel, Mayor Emanuel, ardent gun control advocate, is actually running into some political trouble because of all the shootings in Chicago. They said that if he were primaried today by some of the stronger potential candidates, he would lose.
Although some of those potential candidates are really strange, like the president of the Cook County School Board Union. She's a frightening communist monster. It's crazy.
Or Tony Preckwinkle, who is president of the Cook County Board of Commissioners. So the county equivalent to the mayor.
Yeah, peas in a pod.
Exactly, or worse.
Are they approaching Governor Moonbeam territory? Because I'm not
well
familiar
beyond
with
it.
Well beyond it, really.
Preckwinkle is, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're up with De Blasio.
Ooh. Okay. Well, we got one more story here. We're coming up on the end of the segment again. So let me get into this last story. This one will make your blood boil.
Uh-huh.
Just to let you know, they do not have a justice system in New Jersey. Baltimore Ravens running back Ray Rice was not prosecuted after he knocked his fiancée unconscious in an Atlantic City casino. Instead, Rice received a 2-game suspension from the NFL. Now, contrast his treatment with Shaneen Allen, who was a licensed firearms owner and tried to drive through New Jersey. She's facing 3 years in jail for a felony weapons violation from the same prosecutor who diverted Ray Rice to family counseling. That is New Jersey. That is not justice.
Wow.
Amen to that. Doesn't that make your blood boil?
Oh. And quite literally, it is only because the only reason I can think of it is because he's famous and he's got some pockets. And I wonder if maybe this prosecutor didn't get a little bit of a donation to his next reelection campaign.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wouldn't surprise me. Man.
Though ABC News ran a story about Rice this evening, and a lot of groups, especially women's groups, are pretty darn mad at the NFL for only giving him a 2-day suspension. I wonder if they knew about what was going on in New Jersey, they'd be even madder at the prosecutor for not even prosecuting him.
Now, if I remember what we were talking about pre-show correctly, and I was doing a couple of different things, but didn't I hear one of you guys say that there's a video of this guy carrying his wife out, or the girlfriend or significant other or whatever, but he carried this woman out of the elevator after he cold cocked her in the elevator, and she was out cold, right? There's absolutely
it was on ABC News this evening. They got it from TMZ. He's literally dragging her out of the elevator in the casino. They've got it on security cameras, and she is just a limp noodle. He's just dragging her out.
There were 2 people in the elevator, so there is no possible way that it can come, there's nobody else that could have done it.
Well, it is a casino, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's not some footage somewhere in the elevator showing him hitting her.
Yeah.
That we have not seen.
About the only place that isn't filmed in the casino is the bathrooms, and I'm not going to guarantee those.
Exactly.
Well, we are getting seriously long in this segment. Rachel, you want to take us to our gun quote?
Man.
And we're losing her. All right. We're running seriously long in this segment. Rob, you want to take us to our gun quote, man?
I will. Given the news, it's a great reminder. Quote, a man's rights rest in 3 boxes: the ballot box, the jury box, and the cartridge box. Quoting Frederick Douglass. Hang on, everybody. We'll be right back after this advertisement from Concealment Solutions.
Okay, let me.
Well, Rachel's video's moving.
Can y'all hear me now?
Ah, there you go. You froze up for a second.
Okay, sorry, yeah. Cool. I'm not sure where I went out.
We covered for you.
Cool.
Okay, who gets the Philadelphia? Because I so much have a comment.
I'll take it. You comment.
Go.
Rob, I'll fight you for the first comment.
Well, no, you can have it.
We can have a good discussion on it. It'll be good.
Okay, Paul, Rachel, Rob. There we go. Ready to roll.
No, who's going to take the second DGU?
Oh, I was just trying to fix that one.
So I'll let you do it then.
Yeah, yes.
I want the one that was emailed in. Once again, viewers and listeners, you can comment on either YouTube or on the Q&A app, and we'll answer your questions live on the air. And Susan, I know she sent me a text. She is watching the live page. I don't know if anything's going on over there. I'm just going to pop over there, and I'm sure she's still there. Hi, sweetheart, by the way. No, I'm not talking to you, Rob. You know, the last comment was one that I made last weekend. Shows there are 2 people there. I'm one of them, and I'm betting you Susan's the other one.
Huh.
Of course, I only got this set up quite literally 10 minutes before I set up the live page as I was setting up the call. So. Oh. All right, let's see here. Let me get back to where I was. Okay, and can I say hi to everybody? Can I say hi to everybody? Sure.
Hey everybody, how you doing?
Hey Gary.
Hello.
I probably missed all the really good stuff, but just finished the concealed carry class here. Good time, good instructors. Learned a lot. Oh well, reminded of a lot. You know, the legalities you forget all the time. It's kind of nice to be reminded of them. So.
Awesome.
Right.
Well, I
Good
thought
stuff.
I'd say hello, and I'll try to get back here in a little while.
Alrighty.
Cool. Thank you.
I just popped over to Facebook to see if there were any comments on the post that we were going live, and Michelle Prescott's been on the show, but it's been a very long time, but she's been on the show before.
Oops. I
and
just wrote up. Never mind. The thing I wrote up was what the listener phoned in or wrote in. Ding.
Oh.
Gone.
Oh, seriously?
But she posted, the Maryland State Police are investigating a hate crime, but somebody put graffiti on a former military building proposed as a housing for immigrant children. They wrote on it, "No illegals here, no undocumented Democrats." So, and they're investigating that as a hate crime. That whole hate crime thing, man. Oh, if it's crime, it's crime, man. It doesn't matter the intent.
Exactly. A crime is a crime.
If I'm delivering in Chicago and somebody tries to jack my truck, if they happen to be black, will they be charged with a hate crime? Now, I want to be absolutely clear to our live viewers. My stepdaughter, and I only call her that to people I'd only introduce to people that don't know me. To everybody that knows me, she's my daughter. I'm the only dad she's ever known. My stepdaughter's black. So I'm not a racist, not in the least. But yeah, if a black man in Chicago tries to hijack my truck, is that a hate crime? No.
Well,
Rationally, yes. Legally, and the way it would be prosecuted, no.
yeah.
It would be just somewhere just barely more severe than jaywalking.
Yeah.
In Chicago. All right, I'm ready to go on my end. You want to bring us in, John, since you got the first one?
Sure. In 5. Hi, and welcome back to the Polite Society Podcast DGU segment. This first DGU, we have gotten multiple emails about pointing it out to us. And I think a lot of us are quite aware of it because it's gotten a lot of publicity. Doctors are known for saving lives, but rarely do they do it with a gun. But that's exactly what happened earlier this week, authorities said, when a psychiatrist, Dr. Lee Silverman, returned fire on a patient who had shot him in the head and had fatally shot caseworker Teresa Hunt at the Sister Marie Linehan Mercy Wellness Center in Yeadon, Delaware County, Pennsylvania. Yeadon Police Chief Donald Molyneux had this to say, quote, "Without a doubt, I believe the doctor saved lives. If he wasn't armed, the guy would have went out in the hallway and just walked down the offices until he ran out of ammunition." Now, this DGU is probably making national news because it involved both a doctor, an armed doctor, and a hospital. The psychotic patient involved had both a criminal record, including firearms violations, and a history of suicide attempts. He had also been involuntarily committed multiple times. How we obtained the pistol is not known, but Pennsylvania has background checks, mandatory background checks, on the private sales of handguns, which we're told would have stopped this. Right.
Yeah. He was, the bad guy was obvious, and I'm going to call him a bad guy. Doesn't matter. Was he ill? Yes. Was he evil? Yes. So he's a bad guy in my book. Bad guy got a gun. Bad guys are going to get guns. If we've got in Australia, if all the guns go away, bad guys in Australia make guns, and guess what? They're not semi-auto. I am grateful that this doctor was armed. I am fearful that this, and I haven't seen for certain whether this is a particular uh, facility was a gun-free zone or not, or whether that hospital allowed their doctors to be armed. I am afraid for this doctor they probably don't, and what hap- I'm hoping what happens to this doctor is not what happens to most pizza delivery guys and
Uh-huh.
most convenience store clerks
Yep. Yep.
who just decide that my life is more important than this job. Those people get fired. I hope this doctor doesn't, but I kind of suspect he might.
Well, I know he's not going to get prosecuted. Both the police chief and the local district attorney are fully behind what he did, from what I've read.
Uh-huh. And contrary to what some might say, I don't see it at all incongruous for a doctor who's known for saving lives to carry a gun. The perception here, and what this story does, I think, is help do away with the perception that a gun is a weapon of violence, and instead it pulls up a gun as a tool for helping to save lives. So anybody in any state who's going to be fighting for hospital carry should definitely bookmark this story, make a note of it, and pull it up as needed.
Oh yeah, definitely. And this if I'm remembering right, and I don't have this full story up in front of me, so please feel free to anybody to correct me if I'm wrong. But this guy is either a psychiatrist or a psychologist, right? The doctor.
Psychiatrist, MD.
He's a yeah, he's an MD. So, but what I guess my point is he knows these patients. He knows what they are capable of, and so.
Mm-hmm.
Who better to know whether he should arm himself because he knows the intimate details of these people's minds. I believe every person has the right to arm themselves, especially in this circumstance, because by de facto he's going to be dealing with some people that are not exactly right in the head.
I mean, I was reading the story from the Daily News of New York. I take it back to Philadelphia Daily News, and there was comments from a guy that was a member of some motorcycle gang that said that this guy tried to. The guy was a tattoo artist and former ranking member of the Pagans Motorcycle Club, who was friends with this guy's ex-girlfriend. He said this guy was a troublemaker from the minute he was able to cause trouble. It was just one nightmare after another. He also said he was a heavy drug user and had kicked his pregnant girlfriend in the stomach.
Oh,
and this is from a hardcore biker.
Yeah, that's a character reference. You can't get a character reference from a Hell's Angel.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, the doctors I've known are entirely practical men. Some of them describe themselves as body mechanics to me, the ones I know. Well, the hospital's gun-free zone was broken, and the doc had to step in and fix it.
Yeah.
I just wonder if the doc makes house calls if my gun-free zone is broken, because he's doing a great job.
Sure is.
Now, I included a link in our show notes because I want people to contact the hospital and thank the doctor for saving lives.
I think
Great
that's
idea.
awesome. That can be our second listener homework for this episode.
You bet.
Register voters and go thank the doctor.
Absolutely.
I know two physicians in Sioux Falls that are very, very pro-gun, very, very pro-concealed carry, and I have never directly asked either of them if they carry while they work, but it would not shock me, not in the least.
You'd have to be a great friend before they would give you an answer, I bet.
I don't want to put them. I don't want to put them in that situation. I really don't.
Certainly
So-
not in public. Heck no.
No. One of the physicians, well, yeah, I'll talk about it. I don't care. Um, I was getting my physical done, and I carried, even though there was a sign
Yep.
saying that weapons, um, they don't have the force of law. I would have left if they would have asked me to, but I knew the doc, and I knew he was the only one that was going to see it, and so I know he knows that I do.
I've inspected your equipment and it needs cleaning.
We actually had a really good conversation while the physical was going on. So anyway, let's go ahead and go off to our next DGU. This one was sent in by listener John P. And I've got to, John, I want to apologize. I could try to say your name, but I know I'm going to butcher it. So, but he did send in this DGU, and I'm going to just go ahead and read this straight from NBCConnecticut.com. Two brothers fought off and helped detain a 15-year-old armed intruder who tried to rob them early Wednesday morning in New London, police said. A teen wearing a hockey mask and carrying a knife and a loaded gun invaded a home on Crystal Avenue just before 3 a.m. on Wednesday, according to police. Richard and Kevin Dennis were asleep when the teen broke in, but woke up and acted quickly. Richard went toward the teen. That's when he hit me on the head. Then I picked him up, and he started wailing on my back with the butt of the gun, Richard said. Kevin got a gun to help his brother, and he told the teen to drop his weapon and stay still. Quote, I heard my brother say, Kevin, I need help. He has a gun. When I heard that, I grabbed my gun and went flying through the door, Kevin Dennis said. The teen did drop his weapon. He dropped it the moment he saw me. I got mine. The fight was over. It was night and day, Kevin Dennis said. When the police arrived, they arrested the intruder. The teen was charged with home invasion, burglary, second-degree assault with a firearm, first-degree threatening, and carrying a pistol without a permit. His name has not been released because of his age. The resident who was assaulted had minor injuries but declined medical treatment, police said. First comment, and you all know this is coming because you got to expect it by now, but 3 a.m., nothing good happens after midnight.
Knew it was coming.
Well, it was a very early morning burglary. I would love to read the toxicology report on this kid. I mean, there can be someone that's, felony stupid. I know that at 3 in the morning, I'm not felony bright, but I wonder if he didn't have some chemical help to pull this idiocy off. And also, this kid is so lucky to be alive. Can you imagine if you saw an armed intruder in your home beating up one of your loved ones? This homeowner deserves a ton of respect for his restraint.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And now, keep in mind, anti-gunners, please pay attention. I know there are a bunch of you that listen. Believe it or not, one of the biggest, I can see on our search page, on our page, on politicsandguns.com or politesocietypodcast.com, when people go there, if they go there through a search engine, I can see what they searched for, generally. And one of the biggest things that people are searching for when they land on our page is gun control podcast. So those of you who are looking for a gun control podcast, please make note that this intruder was underage to have bought any type of weapon, let alone a handgun. And so because gun control works so well, the kid had one anyway.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I would like to remind everybody we have links to each of our news and defensive gun use articles at politesocietypodcast.com if you'd like to share them with a friend. We're going to go ahead and step aside here. When we come back, we've got our tips and tricks segment with Kathy Jackson. And when we come back after that, we've got some email to talk about. So hang on, everybody. We'll be right back right after this. And my wife informed me, let me stop.
Stop.
I had to stop the recording.
Oh.
My wife informed me we know at least 3 physicians that carry. I forgot one.
For you.
Also on YouTube, we're starting to get comments in. Just a second here. Let me go back. Dayrider76 says, good evening from Wyoming. Good evening, Dayrider. And Mr. Fats says, hello from the great state of Texas. And hello, Rob. Rob, I think you're the star of the show, man. Everybody comments, hey, Rob, what's going on, Rob? I get no love.
You know, I meet people at NRA conventions. I meet them at SHOT Show. I answer their emails.
That's probably my thing. I'm horrible about return. I get a ton of email. We've talked about it off air and on air to our I get a ton of email, and I don't get everybody responded to in a timely fashion, and I apologize. That's one thing Kathy Jackson and I have in common.
Can I join the club?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, I just updated the Kathy Jackson Cornered Cat training classes to her because we were doing it was in the notes as July, and I moved it to the Culpeper, Virginia class.
Oh,
Good.
Thank you.
Good.
I've got next weekend, I've got the voice actress coming in. We're going to be coming in early and recording some promos, and that we're going to be recording 2 promos for Kathy, and that means we can drop the live read on the at the end of the show. So we'll do it this week, but starting next week we can drop it. So today and then Wednesday, if you would do it again, and then after that we can drop it.
Okay.
Okay.
John, you don't want me to ask you about your blog?
No, I really have nothing that I haven't covered.
Jeez, man, the guy gets married, all of a sudden he stops writing?
No, I didn't stop writing. I've already covered stuff.
I would imagine you're going to be writing something fairly soon on the DC case, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
I just got to check this real fast.
Mm.
All right. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and bring us in, and I want to read the email because it was sent to me, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go, coming back in 5. Hey, and welcome back. This is our email segment. We're going to close up the show here in a minute, but to get to the email, we've just got one tonight, and Ken in Arizona sent a reply email or a second email about Target. He was on the show last weekend, or his email was on the show last weekend. He writes, Paul, after hearing you read my Target email on the podcast and following Gary's comments about a business has the right to ban guns on their private property, I felt a need to further explain my position. I know that Target's policy is only a request for people not to carry their firearms inside their stores, just as Chipotle and Starbucks have requested the same. I could still legally carry concealed carry in their stores. However, we are in for the fight of our lives to keep our constitutionally protected rights. Note that I didn't say constitutional rights. There's a big difference, but I digress. For a business not to be in complete support of our rights and to try to appease the PC/gun-grabbing/anti-freedom/progressive crowd just isn't good enough anymore in this struggle. We are indeed in the fight of our lives, the fight for our lives, and to accept and support a business that isn't 100% with us is supporting our adversaries. If not completely, then at least partially. And partial support is still support and just no good anymore. We need strong voices who publicly, loudly, and firmly state their support of the Constitution, and not voices who appease, compromise, equivocate, and preach feel-good fantasies and reasonable policies that make everyone happy and are inclusive, reasonable, and common sense. It's time for truth, justice, and the American way. We've reached the time when nothing short of that will do. Regards, Ken in Arizona. He continues, here's an extra comment that you can ignore. It's just how I got here. P.S. I am new to this cause and new to firearms. Sandy Hook is what woke me up. Why didn't anyone stop the madman, I wondered. It was only Sandy Hook when I learned about gun-free zones. The insanity of such a policy was immediately obvious and distressing. They are a perfect way to make more victims. I discovered the entire shooting community and the other side of gun ownership and gun rights that I never knew existed. Being a product of the mainstream media for 60 years, my ignorance was profound. My education has been eye-opening and equally as profound. My disgust with our leaders and the Fourth Estate is huge and growing every day with my ongoing education. Thank goodness for new media, the internet, podcasts such as yours, and the time I have in retirement to devote to these issues. Unfortunately, most Americans are what I was for all those years, too busy to stray outside the mainstream and therefore brainwashed to the agenda of the powerful and the omnipresent mainstream media. I see this fight that we are in as one fueled by ignorance. Once people become educated, we'll be back on the right track. It only took me a couple months to counteract 60 years of learned ignorance. But our media and our politicians are not about education, so I'm not hopeful that our struggle will be over anytime soon. As a digression, look at Common Core. Teach all the kids from the same playbook, and you limit ideas outside that playbook. As another digression, look at the recent illegal immigration being encouraged by Washington and the White House. What better voting bloc than millions of new voters who don't even speak the language? That's a pretty clear way of keeping the voters ignorant. It's criminal what they are doing. Keep fighting, preserve, protect, and defend indeed. Gee, I sound pretty radical, even to myself. Well, so be it. PPS, I hope you keep us informed of the new doggies, and I certainly will, Ken. And wow, that was a really well written letter.
Absolutely.
Good job, Ken.
He hit on so many good things, and that he's new to the cause of gun rights makes it even more effective, I think.
What I found encouraging is 60 years of mainstream media exposure, and he overcame it in a couple months. That's why I really wanted to include that second part of the email in there. And honestly, that's why I think we're doing good. That's why the podcast is still going, because people are still listening, and I think we're reaching people. So, any other comments on the email?
I'm good.
All right.
Good.
Well,
All right. Ready to move on?
Yeah, go. I think you got the next thing, don't you?
I sure do. The Polite Society download app is out on Amazon for Android, and the iPhone app is in iTunes, and it's called the Podcast Box. Those apps are located by our old name, which is Politics and Guns, so be sure to search for them there. And don't forget, hot links are in our show notes. It's just another great reason to check out the website.
Also, please check out Kathy Jackson's Cornered Cat training classes. Her next class that has seats available is September 13th and 14th in Culpeper, Virginia. Also remember that in September, Kathy is doing a couples class in Centerton, Arkansas with John Hottaway. Go to corneredcat.com for more classes and details. Rob. Any new posts from Slowfax blog that you want to mention?
Thanks, John. I do. I live in San Diego, and San Diego Sheriff Bill Gore was the one who was sued in Peruta v. Gore. Sheriff Gore said he will protect us, and we really have no need to protect ourselves. In fact, although other sheriffs find a way, he can't allow us license to concealed carry. For some reason, Sheriff Gore overlooked the thousands of crime victims we had this last June. As usual, most of the victims were unarmed and defenseless. I documented several of them. In contrast, I have counties right next door, and I'm trying to interview some of the brand new gun owners and concealed carriers who are part of my state every day.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that one time soon, one of the major counties, the LAs, the San Diegos, the I forget what county that San Francisco's in.
San Francisco.
San Francisco County.
It is San Francisco County.
Yeah.
I just one of the major population counties. I'm just praying for the day that one of those gets a sheriff that goes shall issue.
Well, Napa or Riverside would do, and they're not even one of the main ones. But yeah.
So, well, I want to remind everybody here, continuing on, I was hoping to have Bob Maynr on. Apparently, we've had technical issues. Bob can't join us tonight, but we do have a big announcement. Bob Maynr and Ben Branham are going to be coming up to Sioux Falls next May to do the Beyond Concealed Carry Enhanced course. There's going to be a one moment. Well, moving on here, I do want to remind everybody, and Bob Maynr was supposed to be on the show tonight, and I guess there were some technical difficulties. He couldn't join us, but I do need to announce that, and if you listen to Ben Branham's show, he already announced it, but there's going to be a Beyond Concealed Carry Enhanced course in May next year, right up here in Sioux Falls. Bob and Ben are going to be coming up, and we'll be doing the class. It's a limited class. There's only 22 seats available, and so the really cool thing about this is it's May of next year. That's true. It's a little ways out. However, there's an early bird special. Normally, that's a $350 class. If you sign up now, there's a price break, $300. These seats are going to go fast. They've never been up in this neck of the woods before. I'm really excited about bringing them up here to bring that class out. And so head on over. I'll have a link in the show notes. We really want to have you up here. It's going to be a super cool training class. Also, if you can't do that, remember they do have the Shooters Club. They put that together. It's $75 a year for the Shooters Club. It breaks down to about $6.25 a month if you pay by the year. But if you subscribe to that, you get some great video training. There's some audio podcasts out there that don't go anywhere else. You can't get them anywhere unless you're there. And if you do subscribe to the Shooters Club, not only do you help out Bob and Ben, you help us out here a little bit as well. So trying to think, is there anything else? I think that does. Oh, yeah, that does wrap it up the show. So until the midweek show, everybody.
Stay safe.
Be aware.
And we'll see you down the road.
Cool deal.
Mm-hmm.
We'll take a little editing. There was talk that I might interview the trainers that put on the class here. I haven't seen them out, but hey, you guys can either hang out or not. I'm going to go ahead and thank our live viewers here. Let me do this. I got to do this fast though, before I forget it, or I won't have the end of the show.
I'm reading through some of the notes online about the Palmer case.
Yeah.
And here a comment goes, I love how the judge uses Ginsburg to support his decision. If the case goes forward, she'll have to argue against herself to find for the district.
That is good.
Wow.
Couple things here real fast. Let me take us off here. Before I take us off here, I want to thank everybody that did watch live, and I want to remind everybody that watches live, please visit our advertisers. They do keep the show coming, because if I had to pay for this thing, I couldn't. This thing has gotten way too expensive. So, ABN Army Surplus, Concealment Solutions, Crusader Weaponry, NJ2AS, and Firearm Safety Institute. The shows, the links are all in our show notes. Folks, these people deserve your money. They keep this show coming to you at no cost. Or if they didn't do it, the show would stop. I could not float this boat by myself. So, I'm just, no lie, I am sitting at a table right now with about $2,000 worth of audio equipment that would not be here without these advertisers. So, all right, I'm going to take us off live.